Yeah, this video is going to show you how to create the CSS horizontal navigation bar, the one that I created, and I'm going to use moving forward in all our upcoming lessons. So the instructions for creating the CSS horizontal menu bar is in W3 Schools here. So I have a link in the lesson. So if you go over, starting in week 2, you'll see CSS horizontal menu bar. If you click on that, that'll take you here. Okay, so how do you go about building this horizontal menu bar? I'm going to go ahead and start by going to Visual Studio Code, and then if I click on the Go Live link, this will show you this is what the horizontal menu bar looks like. And as you can see, depending on what page you're on, the menu color changes when your mouse goes off the menu. So here I'm in the formatting page, now I'm in the no formatting, and you can see the color changes from black to green, and then also when I mouse over each menu item, the item becomes a darker color or shade of black. Okay, so how did we create this menu? So I'm gonna go ahead, go back to Visual Studio Code, and this is the index.html file, and as you can see here are I put everything inside of a nav element, and really the menu is really just an unordered list with each list item being a separate menu item. And inside the list item are these anchor tags, which is really what creates links in HTML. And the href attribute on these anchor tags is what points to the individual files that we want to navigate to. So the home is going to navigate to index.html, which is what we're on now. Formatting.html, etc., etc. Okay, so each one points to one of the HTML files in our folder here. The other thing you'll notice is this class equals active. This is what makes the menu bar green. So if we go back to our menu bar, that's what creates that green color on here. And because the active is on the home in our index.html, it sets the home to green on this page. Now, when we go over to formatting, now the green's on formatting, what I had to do is if I go over to the formatting here, you'll notice the active is now on the formatting anchor, which points to the formatting.html. So every page that you have your menu bar, you're going to have to put the class in a different spot. This is on the index, so on this one, this is the list, we put the active on the list. So as you can see, it changes depending on which page you're on. So here, no formatting is up here in the no formatting. That's where the active is. Okay, so let's look at the CSS file now. So I'll go back to my index.html, look at the CSS. So the way the CSS is set up is there's a bunch of different rules. The first rule sets what the unordered list looks like. So that nav-ul navigates to this path. So anytime you have a path of nav element and ul, it will apply the style on this ul element, but only the ul elements that are inside the nav. So here we have the list type, we say none, so that kind of takes away the bullet point, because if you don't do this, you'll have that bullet point in front. And then what we do is we change the margin and the padding to 0. We hide the overflow, and then we set the background color. So this is what sets that background color to black. The next thing we do is we set up the nav ul li. So if you look at the navigation here, you have the nav element, the ul, and li. So all the li elements will get that style applied that are under nav ul. So if there's an li element outside of that that's not under nav ul, it won't get that style. Okay, so what do we do with this style? We basically say we want to float everything to left. So what that does, if you look at our navigation bar, it basically floats all the items so that they all hang off the left hand side. So they're basically left justifying our menu items is what we do here. So we're left justifying these. All right, the last thing is the anchor tag, and here we go, okay, if you're in the nav ul li anchor tag, so it's got to be this series here, so it will only do this to the anchor tags inside of the nav ul li elements. So what styles are we adding? We set the display to block. We set the color, so that's going to be the text color is going to be set to white. So if we look over here, our text color is white. Text align center, so that centers the, you notice the menu text is centered on each item there. And then we do some padding to give some spacing around. So we do 14 pixels by 16 pixels. So they're basically the same. They're probably a little bit more. The 16 pixels, 14 pixels is the left and the right, and the 16 is probably the top and bottom. But what that does is you get uniform padding top and bottom and left and right. And the last thing is text decoration is none. So what that does, usually for anchor tags, what happens is you get like an underline anytime you have a link in HTML. So that none gets rid of the underline. Okay, and then the way we get the hover to work so that it so that the link turns black when you hover over it is you just, again, it's almost the same as this, except you put :hover, and what that does is anytime you hover over it, it turns the background to black, which is what you see here. Notice it's turning to a darker black when we hover over each link. Okay, so that's that one. And then the active, this is what sets the current page that you're on to green. And then finally we have nav ul li. Let's do that. All right. So that is the, where are we here? Nav ul li. So let's go ahead and we'll go back here. All right. So nav ul li. Let's go back here. Nav ul li. Oh, this is another styling that we do, and this puts the border 1 pixel solid, and then gives it that color for the border. So what that does is it creates kind of like a white border around each box, each menu item. Okay, and I think that's the last CSS rule that we apply that applies to our navigation bar. Right? And thank you for your time, and we'll talk again later.